Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Princeton Public Schools. I'm Zach Kitzman, here with Kim Young and Mary Patnode.
Hello, everybody. We are going to have a podcast with just the three of us today. Lucky you guys. We are all three graduates from Princeton High School, Princeton Public Schools. So we are just going to talk about our experiences and some good positive things that we have carried with us for our entire lives thus far. So let's get into it. Zach, why don't we start with you since you're the youngest?
Me?
Or should we go to Kim, who's the oldest?
What year did you graduate? Let's see who's older.
I graduated in 2014.
1998.
I was graduated from college both of those years. 1988 for Kim.
Yeah,
88.
So we're covering how many years?
98.
14. Cool.
Let's see.
So what was your cheer? You know, your class, like how they go around the gym during Pet Fest? Like we'd go 88, 88, 88, 88, 88. What was yours?
Ours was 98.
But yours is like 2014.
2014.
Yeah, I don't remember.
2014. 2014.
2014. No,
No, it's like
88's by far the best.
I don't know. That was like 10 years ago. I don't know.
10 years ago. Oh my gosh.
Oh, mine was 88 and I remember.
How many years ago was that?
Many.
Too many.
Yeah, so today, just bringing up, I guess, good experiences or things we've learned from coaches or teachers that, have made an impact on our lives, right? And most of my, impactful encounters have been with coaches. Mm-hmm. But some of my coaches were also my teachers. So, for example, I had Mark Hayes was my woodshop teacher, and it was also my wrestling coach and was my football coach when I was younger. So he had so much he was just part of my life growing up. And he also, as a teacher, I don't know, there's just a lot of guidance too from a school standpoint, from life, from athletics to relation advice, like school advice, just a ton of stuff. But
so just think if he wouldn't have been a good influence and he was a part of your, regardless, he was going to still be your teacher, still be your wrestling coach, still be your football coach.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference because if it was the opposite way, now you've, turned my life almost a whole other direction.
Exactly.
Like, for example, so when I was in middle school, I was playing football or practice, whatever, and Hayes came up to me and was like, "Hey, you're a pretty good tackler. Have you ever thought about joining wrestling?" I was like, "No." I'm like, "Mm-mm." He's like, "You should try it." So I ended up joining wrestling, and it taught me a ton of more, it taught me a whole different mindset too of that I have taken with me now throughout life for business, throughout just handling situations, and because the sports get tough. You learn how to become a team player, how to overcome challenges, stuff like that. You learn all these abilities, and I've used those as I've gotten older in different aspects of my life. So.
Yeah, and I think what's unique about a sport like wrestling is you have the individual part of it as well as the team aspect of it. That's what, you have that in track, cross country, swimming, things like that, where I think that's, you can, maybe you're not getting points for your team, but you did better than you did the meet before. Mm-hmm. You can compete against yourself a little bit and make personal improvements, which I think is unique about those sports.
Yeah, because even in track, I did track for a while too. And it's when you're running, you want to quit with every step. You have an opportunity to stop running after every step. You can slow down. And running is tough because you have to consistently, it's go, and it takes long. It's not just a short, it's not. Mm-hmm. It's not 3 minutes or 9 minutes that we would have on a mat. Sometimes it's longer than that, running around a mile or however long they run. But it's Now, taking that same mindset to a project
Yeah.
or an essay
Exactly.
or a relationship or just like applying those same things, like what kept you running? Like, why did you keep doing that? Why did you keep wrestling? Why did you become a team player? Like, if you can apply those same things to other aspects of your life, and
Because you don't want to let the team down. You don't want to let your boss down. You don't want to, all those things going to be applied.
Yeah, I'd say, for my high school days too, all of my, not all of them, but the majority of my memories are definitely sports related. My coaches were also my teachers, and I just, in being a coach today, I think that they helped me want to do that, and I just had such great experiences, and it wasn't always about the wins. It was about, and now I know that, now being 25 years ago, we graduated almost 25 years ago. I'm still trying to instill those values into the kids that I coach now about, I know now that those are the memories. And so I tell them that it's about the memories. It's about more than what happens on the court and what happens in practice. It's the relationships that you build. It's how you handle adversity. And you learn so many different things. And coaches really, really have an impact on all of these kids. And, they can affect them negatively or they can affect them positively. And I just think that, being involved in activities is so huge. And that's just my opinion, because that's what I brought back, from my high school experiences were, the sports and being with kids and the bonding and, the feeds before games and, there's so many different things. Those tournament days, spending time, they're great memories.
like how much time when a teacher would be like doing her job and going over a subject or something that we're supposed to cover, and like you're not really building too much of a relationship, like you're focused on learning on like whatever is being taught, right? But in the times of where it's like study time or you're doing homework or doing something like that, and you go and ask that teacher for help, and it's more of like a one-on-one thing, that's where I feel like teachers make the most impact in someone's life, is like, are they willing to show how much they care? Like I've had some teachers where they're like, you need to just figure this out. And it's like, no, like I need help. Like, but then like I know they meant it in the right way, but then there's other times where it's like a teacher will, like you can feel it. Like you're like, oh, you actually care. Like you want me to help. Like you want me to do better. Or like, what's the problem? And they spend a little more time, like an extra 5 minutes explaining something if you don't understand it right away the first time. Like I had a hard time grasping the concept of things because I wanted to know every little detail before I took on like the whole picture. It's like I needed to know like everything before. I was like, well, that doesn't make sense yet because I don't understand this part yet. So
yeah, our teachers are just amazing. I can speak as a parent for Jake. When Miss Milam, she's still a teacher at the school, and I know she's amazing, but she approached him and said, why aren't you signed up for college chem? And, he just didn't even think twice about it. And I was like, no, I think it was just maybe he didn't want to work hard just because he was, it was a senior year. And she said, no, you need to do this. You need to push yourself. You're smart. You can do this. And he did it, and he loved it, and he got a good grade, and he got college credit for it. And had she not sought him out, he would never have even thought about it.
Exactly.
He would have just finished out with his gym classes, and here he got this experience, this college experience, and he learned how to push himself, and they had to do homework and study, and that prepared him for the next level. And I really appreciate that she did that. And I think all these teachers have so many moments that they can take advantage of. And
I think too that it means a lot to a student that a teacher believes in them.
Yes.
I know that you can do this. You need to do this. This is not going to be too much for you. I think that the teacher for me was Sandra Erickson, who's still around the area. She really encouraged me to go into journalism. And because we had a newspaper at the high school back then, the Fourth Estate. Was there a newspaper when you were in school?
Yes, Fourth Estate.
Yeah, the Fourth Estate. And she just encouraged me all through college. She wrote letters of recommendation for me. I know she would today if I got a hold of her. And then eventually I did get a degree in journalism, but went on to get a degree in teaching English, which is what she did. And I did that for a while too. And I still use both of those degrees in the job that I have today. But she was so encouraging about this is where you have a gift. And this is, a direction that would be really good for you. And she just was a positive influence that way as a teacher.
And helped you guide that path. Or she guided your path that way. I think what's really cool happening now in Princeton is these career academies that they have, and these kids have the chance to try out different things and what they want to do. They can try something they maybe don't like that they thought that they wanted to do, or they could try something that they probably would not picture themselves doing, and then they get to try it and they're like, I love this. And it's just really cool that Princeton is really evolving, and these kids have opportunities, that we didn't have.
Well, I was going to mention that about opportunities we didn't have. Another coach that was a part of my life for a long time was Rita Risland, who I think at one point after I was out of high school became the AD. But she was a basketball coach of mine. She was a volleyball coach. And it was in my adult life that I found out when she was honored by the state of Minnesota that when she first came to Princeton in 1968, there were no female sports. And she was instrumental in getting them started. And at one time she was coaching, she was the first coach of volleyball, the first coach of basketball, women's basketball. She was the first coach of girls track, and she was the cheerleader advisor.
Wow.
And she was my AD.
Yeah.
And she was so supportive of all kids involved in activities. I'll never forget that. She would always stick up for us, or she would problem solve for us, or, what can I help you with? If you're struggling. And I had teammates who would maybe struggle in school a little bit, and she was just always in tune to that and making sure that academics were important just as much as the activities. And yeah,
she was tough.
She was very tough.
Yeah. She didn't mince words, and she cared about everybody. And she's the reason why today there's female sports in Princeton.
100%.
I mean, I think it was one of the only school districts that she worked in during her career. I mean, that was, most years was in Princeton. And now she's still involved in sports. She is one of the, I saw her several times down at the state track meet. She's I think she's probably the head official for the state track meet and does a lot of that stuff still today. So
yeah,
she's really an influential person for female sports, specifically in Princeton.
Yeah. And teachers are amazing. I just, kudos to all the teachers out there, and, that they can affect kids in such a positive way. And I know in one of our podcasts before, I think it was with, I don't remember if it was with Mr. Jensen or Mr. Barton, but we talked about how bus drivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was, I think, with the Princeton
with Ryan
AD, yeah.
Yeah, and you can make
your AP.
They can change, make or break your day.
Mm-hmm.
Or, they're the last person you talk to when you get off the bus, or the first person that greets you in the day. And just all of these adults that, maybe don't realize it, but make lasting imprints on kids.
Yep.
And we talked off air, Kim, I want you to tell that story about was it an elementary teacher?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mrs. Anderson, Vicki Anderson, who's still in Princeton. She was my 6th grade teacher, and we were having a spelling test. And back then, you said you didn't have to do this.
I don't remember doing this, but
we would have a spelling test, and this would be the same like in a math quiz or whatever, and then you'd pass the spelling test to the person behind you.
I do remember doing that.
And then they would grade it.
Yeah, I did that.
And then we had to holler out our scores.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
I do not remember that.
Uh-huh.
I felt like I had the worst score every time.
Yeah, it was
And I
embarrassing.
was like, this is ridiculous. I feel like I'm
I do not
like,
remember
I'm
that.
Out of 10, Zach, too.
Yeah. Like, Zach? He's absent. I don't know where my paper went.
And so the person in front of me begged me to not count all of her answers wrong.
Yeah.
Begged me not
All the
to.
time.
Yeah, and I just
Me
felt
too.
pressure to
That
do
was
it.
me.
Yeah, I felt pressure to do it, and I didn't want to. And, then we set our scores, and this person got a much better score than she'd ever in her life received. And so, busted. And so then I think it was lunch, and she just kept me after class and just explained, you can't do that. Like, I know what happened. I know that you were asked to do that, and this is why it hurts her, it hurts you. And so that is just something that I'll never forget. She handled it so well. She didn't embarrass us in front of the class. But yeah, Vicki Anderson.
And you haven't cheated ever again, have
And
you?
I never cheated again.
Except when we play family bags.
No. Dad cheated.
There was I was in middle school and we were working on this like essay, and it was three of my friends, or the three of us, two of my friends, and one of us was really good at writing. Like Cam at the time was like really good at writing, and we're like, you know, like you do this or whatever. And I don't remember exactly what we ended up doing, but it wasn't right. Like we ended up cheating somehow on the essay or whatever, and like I think there was plagiarism and all this stuff.
All of it.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And Mrs. Link at the time was like, "Hey, no, you guys can't do this." And she had us stand in front of the classroom and talk about what we did and why I was wrong. And I was like, man, I think that's where my fear of speaking came from, because since then I'm like, oh man, I can't.
Oh,
speak in
Jackie
front of-"
Link, you've been called out.
Yeah, but no, she also,
But now look at you. You're on a
Exactly.
podcast.
but she also has helped me out in a lot of other ways. She's also been a very influential person in my life as I was growing up, and even like when I see her today, like
Yeah.
I'm Mrs. Lang.
Yeah, she's awesome. And she's
Yeah.
always going to be Mrs. Lang.
Yeah.
Like, you can't call her Jackie.
Yeah, right.
I know
Like,
that's how
remember
it is
that
with
one
Mrs.
time?
Erickson.
Remember all those books that you read and we got all emotional and we'd all cry together? Like, yeah, things like that. You're like, man, they stick with you.
I mean, school is just such a big part of a person's life. And I
really
think we
is.
got to remember, too, that I think we all had positive experiences in high school, and not everybody does. And so but I do think that, Zach, you've talked about before about the friends that you make and how important it is to hang around people that are positive influences in your life. It's so important because you can go down a different path. So find your people, and I think that is why it's important to get involved.
In middle school is about the time when you start wanting to fit in with whatever's happening with friends. Like,
It's kind of like you're finding your groups.
yeah, like that's the beginning of finding your groups, your people, yourself. You don't know a whole lot besides what goes on at home. Like, so you're learning all this stuff, and there's also a mix of what other kids are bringing to school too, like what their families have exposed them to, or how much they know. Like, I remember going to school in middle school, and like the amount of exposure someone had in their life was vastly different than mine. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, just things like that. And then just trying to fit in, and there was like cliques and there's groups and like all this stuff. So you almost gravitate to whatever would be easiest and comfortable, right? And you start finding yourself. But then as you continue to do that, it bleeds into high school. And if you stick with the same group of people, and maybe like, because you're going to change throughout middle school, you're going to change throughout high school.
Absolutely.
And especially with when you encounter different things in your life, where like everything comes at us like through this input, and then it gets subconsciously filtered through our belief system, which then turns into our thoughts, and we take actions, or feelings happen after that, and then actions, right? So the way, like when you put yourself around people, and this will change the trajectory of like your life. It really will. If you surround yourself with people that are more negative, like you're going to have a negative outlook. You can tell me all day long that you're not negative, but if you start hanging out with people that are super negative all the time, or just drain energy, like it's going to affect you. And if you're around, for an example, this happened to me. I hung out with a group of friends that were at the time, like in middle school, like I never broke off that relationship in middle school, and it carried into high school, and it got me into trouble. Like, it wasn't the group that I necessarily should have, like, just wasn't my group of people. Like, we didn't have the same values. We didn't think the same, like, but it was such a long relationship at that point. It's like, well, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be that
It's
guy.
comfortable.
Right. And we'd get into trouble, and it's like, man, why am I allowing myself to keep ending up in these circumstances? And at one point, we got in trouble at the school, and like, I was like, man, all right, is this it? Is this where like, do we draw the line? Like, I
Was
can't
that
get
middle school or high school?
high school. We got in trouble for stealing candy and all this stuff. Yeah.
Zach.
I didn't steal it. Since I was a part of the group though.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Right.
Like I was a part of the group. Like even though I was the one that went in and like stole the candy out of the store, like because I was associated with the group, I was in trouble. Mm-hmm. And like it dawned on me, I was like, okay, because you always think you can just be a part of something and stand by and not have it affect you.
Yep.
That my example is a prime example that it does affect you.
Yep.
Like because you're guilty by association. So when you pick your friends wisely,
Yep.
pick
Yep.
who you want to hang out with. And another thing too, if you want to learn, like surround yourself with people that are better, smarter, like are in a circumstance that you want to be in. Like surround yourself with them.
Yep.
Especially out of school too. Like growing up, I found that if I wanted to learn more about business, then I would go and hang out with someone that has a successful business and learn from them. If I wanted to get better at dieting and weightlifting, I would go find someone that was a awesome bodybuilder. Like, then you learn from them.
Yep.
You start surrounding yourself with people like that.
Yeah. And I think Princeton, like with the whole Tiger Pride, I don't know when that got established, but I know that they're teaching kids now, and not that they didn't when we went through the school district, but now I mean they're really focusing on being kind and respectful, and things have just changed so much. I mean, if you ask like our parents, your grandparents, probably our grandparents. What school was like, and it was just strict, and you think about rulers banging on the desks and you
Hit
just
with
had-
erasers.
yeah, racers getting thrown at you, and oh my gosh, how it's changed. And now it's all about being kind and being respectful and just having these values. And I think they're doing a really good job. They're starting them at kindergarten or
Yep.
preschool.
Tiger Pride all the way.
Tiger Pride, yeah, I love it. I
Yep.
think it's great, and they can use examples like your examples, like
Yeah.
Mrs. Link.
Examples too, and I think also do as I say, not as, or like however that saying goes. Do what I say, not as I do. But like we also need everybody to stand up too and show Tiger's pride and respect from the teacher side of things too, even when it's tough. Like because students are always being bombarded with the outside world of news, of bad news, of people are mean. Like let's be realistic. Sometimes like out in the real world, like on this, people aren't nice sometimes.
Yep.
Like there's encounters that people will have, and it's like, man, is this how people are like
Yeah.
just react all the time? Or like road rage, grocery stores, to the street, the parks, like so I like that they're pushing Tiger Pride. I like that they're doing that. I think it's good. I think we need more of it, even like just throughout the school. And
Yeah, and I think the schools are just, I wouldn't say that they're focusing on it, but, just teaching these life skills. I think a lot of people say like, well, you're not teaching kids to, balance a checkbook anymore, or, write in cursive anymore, but if you think about it, I mean, do they really need to know that? I mean, banks now, everything is online, everything is digital. I mean, you're not keeping a check register anymore. So, teach the things that they're going to use later in life, like focus on that. And, these values, being kind, being respectful, those are all things that you need to carry on for your entire life. And I think the school's doing an awesome job at, focusing on what things that these kids need to learn to go off and be successful
right.
beyond high school.
Yeah. And the Career Academies is covering that too, with having kids being able to go and experience what it's like in a business formatted job, or like a manufacturing, or in healthcare, or agricultural. Like they're able to go out and try these things and say like, hey, I like this, or I really cannot stand this. We're changing the role now before they get to college or make that decision.
Yeah, and these kids are so lucky to have that right
Yeah.
now. I mean, I would have loved to have that, because when I was in high school, I had no idea. The only thing I knew was that I was going to go to college, because that's just what we did.
Yep.
In our family, everybody just went to college, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. And then when I went to college, I got registered late for classes, so I had to pick a major my freshman year. because those are the classes I could get into. I couldn't get into any of the generals. And so I did use my degree, for a little bit. But what I do now, my main job right now, was not even a job when I was in high school. I mean, we just got email, when I was first going to college. Internet was, super slow. Nothing was really done on, nothing
Dial-up.
was trusted. It was dial up, but even emails weren't trusted as, and now everything is digital, and everything that I do right now is digital marketing. It's all, this podcast is digital, everything. So as you think about the future, you think about these kids right now, and in 20 years, there's going to be jobs that we
Don't know. Don't exist yet.
They don't exist yet, but they will be there.
Yep.
And so that's really hard.
What are your thoughts on like AI too coming into play? Like how are we supposed to use that or prepare for that? And like
it's here right now for me.
Same.
It's powerful. I mean, and to think when everything becomes more digital in every sense, in every aspect, and then you add artificial intelligence to it, it's like, okay, who's going to manage that portion of it?
Right.
Like, how do you prepare? Like, what jobs now are going to be created with the new technology that we have, and more stuff becoming digital? And like, all right, how do we prepare kids for that?
Yeah. And I think
Like, not just like remembering stuff like these textbooks and stuff. Like, what about more out of the box thinking?
Yep.
Problem solving,
problem solving.
team effort. Like, hey, I know you guys like shouldn't be cheating and working together, but 5 of you get together and work on this. Like, figure this out, or something. Like, instead of always being solo and isolated, maybe more teamwork,
collaboration,
problem solving, and out of the box thinking, and
Yep.
maybe even brainstorming on how we like what's next. Like, what can we use AI for health fields, and like.
And I think that, there's a certain thinking out there that, with AI and robotics and robots taking over jobs for people, like, we're not going to have jobs, but that's not what it is. These things are creating more jobs and more teamwork behind the scenes, and it's technology. And, so these robots that are in manufacturing places that are, doing what a human used to do, somebody has to run that robot.
So I wouldn't say like it takes a job.
Yeah.
Sure, it takes a job.
Yeah.
But it replaces it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, there's now another role that needs to be made.
Another
right.
role.
Yeah.
Like, sure, there's not someone lifting manual labor anymore because there's a robot that can do it, or like whatever. Now there's someone that needs to be able to create, manage, oversee, and operate,
Yep.
Like, there's just different jobs now.
Build the robots, come up with the ideas.
Who's running software on it? Who's going to be the one that updates it? Like,
Yeah.
there's jobs that get replaced, like, and that just happens over time in
Yep.
general. Like, they don't necessarily get taken away, but some just get replaced. So how do you prepare for that?
Yeah.
Well, I think that Princeton schools are doing a really good job, and I think we had good experiences because of it as well.
Yep. And they're just, everything is evolving. And I know that there's other school districts that are kind of stuck in their own ways. And Princeton has been really good at looking at new ideas and maybe new curriculums or
Being innovative.
being innovative. Yes. And just looking to the future. Like, that's always on the forefront is, what's going to happen in the future and how do we best prepare these kids?
Right? Because there was a saying during one of our previous meetings, like, we can prepare as a business or a person, we can prepare for the next 5-10 years and be
Right.
okay, right? But a school has to prepare for like 50 years out at least.
Yep.
Because by the time the students as they go through school and graduate and go on, and like, that's the era that you're setting them up for.
Right.
Like, how do you project that? Like, that's insane.
Yep.
Thinking about that, I was like, man, could you imagine telling somebody like right now, like, all right, let's prepare you for like 20 years from now.
Yeah.
All right, what do we start with?
Well, yeah. That's crazy.
50.
Let's get the basics down, but then it's like, all right, what's next? Like,
Yeah.
if
take
it's
some
changing
predictions.
so fast.
Right.
I mean, they say technology doubles in the advancements. It doubles.
Yeah.
I think every year or something like that. Like, could you, like,
It's crazy.
Yeah.
like the compounding effect of how technology is growing, and it's rapidly growing. holy smokes.
So do you guys think, we should probably wrap up here pretty soon, but I think it'd be fun to make some predictions about the future. Like, do you think money, like coins, dollar bills, do you think that'll be a thing of the past sooner than
I think it'll get replaced. 100%. I think
there'll be no
coins
dollar
and
bills and
dollars, yeah.
I don't know.
I
I feel
think
like
there'll
cars
be-
are going to be like we'll be able to fly cars.
Do you think cash, do you think like paper bills and coins, will they be replaced in the next 20 years?
I think so.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know about that.
I think like diamonds and gold and stuff like that will obviously always hold value.
Yeah.
But I think that we're gonna change. I mean, look at, we had coins, and then we went to dollars,
Yep.
and now we're going into like digital stuff. Like, how much cash do you carry on you?
Right, very little. But the thing is that I mean, my son is currently studying cybersecurity. He's always going to have a job because of that.
Oh, for sure.
You know, I think that's the issue. I mean, that's what I think of right away when I think of if we got rid of, if the money was no more.
Yeah.
That is the main thing.
But I've been noticing more.
But do you
and
think
more.
it'll be around though in 20 years?
In 20 years, I do.
Yeah.
Really?
I think it'll still be around. That's not that long.
I mean, I'm not all techie into like all those. I mean, I don't go to the grocery store and pay with my phone, through my phone. I don't like,
Right,
put
I
my
don't
phone
either.
up and
You pay with the card.
I pay with a card, but
Do you have
people
Apple
now
Pay?
don't even have. Yeah, now you can just.
You have Apple Pay though?
Yeah, I don't use it yet
Okay,
because I'm
but,
just not
but
there
you have
yet.
Apple Pay though.
Yes, and I
Right.
see
Like,
people using it all the time, or I feel like they can even put their watch up to the thing.
yeah.
You can. That's how Chad pays.
Yeah.
Yes, it's mind blowing to me. Like, did you just pay for $300 of groceries by
Was it-
holding your watch up to the?
Yeah.
So I
What about 50 years? Do you think it'll still be around 50 years?
no way.
When I'm 103, I won't care.
I don't think so. I don't know. I seriously think that cars are going to be like
We
you
said
can
that.
fly cars.
We said that when in 2000.
I think it'll happen. I mean, they're driving themselves now,
Not safely.
not safely.
Some of them are.
Yeah, we just gotta
There's
kind
quite
of
a
get
few
on a
that are
different
like
tangent here.
I think they blow up like the media if one crashes.
Yeah,
Like, oh my gosh, they're not safe. And it's like, well, okay, that's like one out of how many cars are on the road driving by themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, what happened? But
I just think it's fun to think about because it's the kids right now that are in high school
Right.
and elementary that are going to have these,
Mm-hmm.
the unknown. They're going to have all these jobs and they're going to look back on us and
yeah.
yeah,
Remember,
they're going to say, what was a podcast?
yeah,
yeah, instead of math class, it's media class.
yeah.
Instead of English, it's like space or who knows.
I won't even be in school though. Everything will be through.
Finance is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin,
Yeah.
Ethereum,
Yeah,
It's crazy. But
Web 3.0.
yeah,
the moral of the tangent then
Mm-hmm.
I guess is that the school district has a bigger job than I think people think about.
Yeah, 100%.
and they're just improving all the time because we say, "Oh, I wish I had that. I wish I had that." Well, they're making it happen.
Yeah, and if you sit down and talk to a teacher, they will tell you that year after year after year, they have to learn new things, a new way of teaching, a new way. It's always new, which is good because we're evolving and we're doing the best, keeping up with the Joneses for sure. But
Yeah,
I think it's a stressful job. I think they're need to be
Doing it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
So
amazing.
appreciate your teachers. Join groups or clubs or athletics if you can,
Yeah. If you're a coach,
and figure out
make an impact.
and surround yourself honestly with the right people because it will change your life, either in a negative way or in a positive way, and that's up to you.
Yeah.
go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Well, thank you for joining us today for the Princeton podcast. Once again, thank you to today's sponsor, Princeton Public Schools. Until then, this is Zach, Kim, and Mary signing off. This is Princeton. Stay here, play here.
Have a great day.